Start going now. Okay. Dum haik geruntur. While these things are happening, tantus terror, such terror occupied the animos, occupied the hearts of the Greeks, that, and this is where we come in, everybody, Claire. Such terror occupied the hearts of the Greeks, that they were not able to utter a voice. Posent is going to be the subjunctive. Why is posent going to be the subjunctive, please, Nadia? Such terror occupied the spirits, the hearts of the Greeks, that they were not able to make a noise.
Purpose clause?
Is it a purpose clause? I would say that a purpose clause would be they uttered a noise in order that the Cyclops might hear it.
Result.
It is a result clause. What's the trigger word that tells us that we've got a result clause? Tantus, absolutely right. Very well done. Good. So, perfect start. So we've got the tantus there. Sed omnis spe salutis deposita mortem praesentem expectarent. But with all hope of safety, deposita, lost, expectarent, they were waiting for imminent death. So, but with all hope of safety lost, they were waiting for imminent death. Polyphemus, postquam fames, after his hunger, depulsa est, was forced away, was driven off. Depulsa est. What tense and what voice is depulsa est, please, Claire?
It's passive.
Yep.
And it's perfect tense.
Yep. Perfect passive. Very well done. Third person singular perfect tense. And you can tell by the a at the end of the depulsa that the word for hunger is feminine. So, after the hunger was driven off by such a horrible meal. This is in the preceding story. If you remember, the Cyclops had ripped to pieces some of Odysseus's, or Ulysses in this case's, crewmates. Postratus, having laid down on the ground, he sedet, he gave himself over to sleep. Quod cum videset Ulixes, the connecting relative with the quad that we've got over there. When Ulysses, videset, had seen this, videset is the subjunctive. Why is videset the subjunctive, please, Meg? A cum clause, well done. A temporal clause, I sometimes call it. What tense of the subjunctive is it? Present? Pluperfect subjunctive, well done. Look at that isse ending. We just say the pluperfect subjunctive is the perfect infinitive ending with mst, mustis, and unt at the end of it. So when Ulysses had seen this, he arbitratus, having judged that such an opportunity of carrying out a task ought not to omittendam, to be missed, omittendam. What kind of word is omittendam, please, Claire?
It's either a gerund or a gerundive.
It is either a gerund or a gerundive.
I can see an am,
Yep.
and that tam has an am, so I'm going to say it's, and the accasium, and it's all in the accusative, so I'm going to say it's a gerundive.
Absolutely right. Very well done, Claire. Good. It's a gerundive. It is a gerundive because it's got an am ending. Gerunds are all neuter. So it's got an am ending. And it also agrees with it, so it's passive. So he was judging that such an opportunity of carrying out the task ought not to be lost. I think for the re gerendai, there's probably a better translation of re gerendai. I just can't think of immediately what it was. Of carrying out a task, of carrying out an action, ought not to be lost. What about gerendai then, Lorena? What kind of word is gerendai? Gerundive, again, because it is of the task being carried out. It is passive. And again, that ae ending tells us that it must be a gerundive rather than a gerund. And it's a gerund, and the omittendam is obviously obligation one there. Pectus, he wanted to pierce the pectus, the chest of the monster, with a sword. Cum tamen nihil temere agendum existimaret. When, however, he judged that nihil, nothing ought to be done, temere, rashly. So let's look at that again. Cum existimaret. When he was judging, Nadia, existimaret is going to be in the subjunctive. Why, please, Nadia?
It's a temporal clause.
It's a temporal clause. Very well done. Good. What tense of the subjunctive is it?
Imperfect.
It's the imperfect subjunctive. Good. So when, however, he was judging that nothing ought to be done rashly, he decided to explore, before he did this, ante quam faceret, before he did this, qua ratione, in what way he they were able to escape from the cave. Can you tell me, please, why possent is in the subjunctive meg? In what way? Decided to find out how they were able. It's an indirect question, absolutely right, governed by the qua of the ratione that we've got there. It is an indirect statement. So, let's just do that whole sentence again. We had the temporal clause at the beginning. When, however, he judged that nothing ought to be done rashly, agendum. I can't remember if we've already said that. What kind of word was agendum, please, Lorena? That nothing ought to be done. Gerundiv. Good, because it's passive. That nothing should be done rashly. He decided to explore, before he did this, in what way they were able to escape from the cave. And the next bit, at cum saxum, and when he animad vertiset, when he had realized that the rock, quo, which had blocked the entrance, nihil sibi, when he had realized how the entrance had been blocked, when he had realized how the entrance had been blocked, in what way the entrance had been blocked, he intellexit. He understood that literally there was no nihil pro futurum, that there was no benefit to him if he killed Polyphemus. This is a difficult sentence. So, but when he had realized that, when he had noticed, this is better. I've changed it. But when he had noticed the rock with which the entrance had been blocked. That's better, isn't it? But when he had noticed the rock, ad vertiset is the subjunctive. Why is animad vertiset the subjunctive, please, Nadia? It's a temporal clause again, very well done. But when he had noticed the rock with which the entrance had been blocked, pluperfect passive for the obstructus erat, with which the entrance, had been blocked, he then intellexit. He understood that there was literally nothing of benefit. There was going to be no benefit to him. Pro futurum is in the accusative. It could be pro futurum esse, really, but they've obviously left out in the form of ellipsis the esse. He understood that there was no benefit to him. Why is pro futurum in the accusative, please, Claire?
Because it's an accusative.
It is an accusative infinitive because it's what?
That's indirect. An indirect statement.
Indirect statement, well done. It's following that word intellexit, which is a verb of saying or thinking. So because we have a verb, as soon as we see a verb of saying or thinking, then it means that we should be looking for an accusative infinitive. As soon as we see any of those things, look for the accusative, and you've got that there with the pro futurum. When he understood that there was going to be no benefit sibi to him if he killed Polyphemus, interferciset in the subjunctive. Why, please, Nadia? I've asked you lots of subjunctive questions, Nadia. Why is that in the subjunctive? If he killed...
It's a conditional.
Absolutely right. It is a conditional, contrary to fact, because obviously he isn't killing Polyphemus. At this moment, he's not killing Polyphemus. This is that really important moment that I was talking about yesterday. This is where heroism changes in our lives, in literature, in film, in drama, in the world, in the Western world. Heroism changes at this point. This is the birth of Bond. This is the birth of Batman. This is the birth of basically when heroes, for the first time, start to think and not just kill people. It's a really important moment, albeit this is in Latin and not in Greek, when obviously it was originally done. So basically that's not true. So this next bit then is he understood that there was no benefit to him if he killed Polyphemus. Tanta enim erat. There was such great size, literally such was the size of that rock, that it could not be moved, that indeed it could not be moved, passive infinitive for amore, that it could not be moved by 10 men. My question for you, however, is what is the reason for posset being in the subjunctive? And what is the reason, please, Lorena? Such was the size of the rock that it was not able to be moved. It is a result clause following the trigger word of tanta. Absolutely right. Well done. Good. So the next part then is quae. Since these things, I'm using cum for as since, I think, here, and I'm not exactly sure why, but at the moment it sounds a little bit better. Since these things were such, Ulysses destitit, ceased from hoc conatus. You don't see that word conatus that often. It comes from conord, which is I try. So I would say here from the try and from the attempt is obviously better. Since these things were thus. Ulrich says, Ulysses stopped from this attempt, drew back maybe, you could say, withdrew from this attempt, drew back from this attempt, and he read it and he returned to his allies. Qui cum intellexissent, who, when they had realized, quo in loco res essent, in what situation matters were. Quo essent. Why is essent in the subjunctive, please, Meg?
It's an
Indirect question, good. Literally, what situation are we in would be the direct question, wouldn't it be? What place are matters in? So it's they understood in what place matters were in. When they had understood in what manner, in what situation matters were in, nulla spe, with literally, with no hope of safety, having been brought of their fortunes, they began to, of their fortunes, suis fortunis, they began to despair. Ille tamen, he, however, having encouraged them not to lose their spirits, demonstravit, and we've left out the next part that's coming along there, demonstravit, he showed that they, he demonstrated that they had evasise, that they had evaded from many and great dangers beforehand. Evasise is the infinitive. Why is evasise an infinitive? He demonstrated that they had. Why is that, please, Narina? That's an indirect statement. Well done. He demonstrated, accused of themselves, to have evaded before many and great dangers, nec dubium, and that there was no doubt, the dubium essay is continuing with the indirect statement, that the D, find your nominative, find your subject, that the gods were going to bring help in such danger. The gods would bring help in such danger. And that is the end of that passage. Well done, everybody.